Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I was away for a couple of weeks. We took some vacations, spring break vacation with the family. We had a wonderful trip, although with a few unexpected adventures. We went to London and Paris with my son Elliot. We had a wonderful time there, visited the Natural Science Museum in London, visited the Louvre in Paris. We visited all the major landmarks of both cities, Big Ben, the Eye of London, Eiffel Tower, everything. It was a great moment to be together as a family. Although the weather was not cooperative, it even snowed in London, and it was overall very cold during that trip. It was still very fun. So, back in the shop now. Today on the show, I'm going to answer a question that I get very often in the comments in the comment section of each video, and it's a question that comes back year after year after year. Is how do I design helmets? So today I'm going to take you through my process of creating designs, how I do it. It might not be the best solution for you, but it works for me. I've been using it for 20 years, and if it's been good for me for 20 years, well, maybe you can take something away from that. So without further ado, let's get started. But when I start design, I don't start here, so let's move. Okay, so design work for me almost always happen in the kitchen. You know, on the kitchen counter. When my wife and the kids are gone to work and school, I have the whole house for myself. I prefer to work here because I feel like I don't have all the everything that can take my mind away from actually designing in the shop. So I prefer to do it here. It's more relaxed, it's calmer. But so it always almost happened here. Although sometimes I will go out and go to my favorite coffee shop and you know, just sit there and do my drawings. I almost all the time start my drawing here in the kitchen. But when you design something, first you got to do So, in Paris, I realized that I preferred my tea with a tiny bit of sugar and hot milk. So, sorry my English friends, but that's how I take it now. For a long time, I designed my helmets on a good old piece of paper with a helmet template that I created myself. Now, these templates are quite easy to find on the web. You know, pretty much every designer have a page, and every helmet painter has a page, and you can download the templates, draw yourself what you want, and send it back to the painter. My templates, of course, I did myself. Those are mine. I found this website. It's called Pixelsaurus, link below, and the guy has a section with helmets and pretty much all kinds of helmets. Those are templates that you can buy. They are compatible with Photoshop and Illustrator, so you can download them and do whatever you want. And you know, they're really well made, and they're easy to work with. So if you don't want to take the time to do your own templates, you can download them from this guy. They're a bit expensive per template, but the number of times you're going to use them is going to justify the time you're not going to spend making them yourself. Because making a template like this takes, you know, quite some time. As a full-time helmet painter, it's worth doing it. But if you just do it part-time, then maybe you want to, you know, skip that whole part and download it. So Okay, so for a long time, I used to do all my design on paper, you know, pens and color everything, scan, send that to the customer and see what he thinks. Then I started to scan my design and redo it on Illustrator and Photoshop. This is what I'm going to show you today, how to do it. I'm going to show you the basics. You can go pretty far when it comes to designing a helmet on Photoshop and Illustrator, but for this video, I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. Okay, nowadays we're in 2023. We don't use pen and paper anymore, so here's my recent solution, and I've been using it for a couple of years. I bought this Samsung Galaxy Note 360, I think it's called, Note 3. Anyway, I'll put the description down in the comments below. This thing has a touchscreen. You can flip it like that and use it like a tablet. And I also got the Samsung pen, the Samsung Galaxy pen, which works extremely well with that particular computer. To draw my basic design, I use Photoshop, okay? Illustrator, it's kind of hard to do it. I'm not comfortable drawing with Illustrator and a pen. I still prefer to use a mouse. I'll show you later how I do it. But if you want to import your template, in my case, it's a PDF that I'm importing. So always remember where you put it. Your come on, where the f is it? Okay, so you import your template into Photoshop. There's another way to do it with an iPad and an application called Procreate. It's another learning curve, it's another thing. I've tried it for a while, it works, but this particular way of working suits me better. So basically, what you want to do is create a new layer and put it under your template. So your drawing layer is under all of your lines. Now I'm going to flip to my mode, to my drawing mode. So I'm going to select a pen, and quite a small pen, like an 8-pixel pen. I'm going to choose, of course, a color, maybe not black. I'm going to use like a dark gray. Okay. Now everything that I'm going to show you, I assume that you have a certain basic knowledge of Illustrator and Photoshop, okay? And when you do have this template ready, then you can start, you know, doing your drawing, okay? So you can start laying your lines on, you know, whatever you want to do, and you can do your basic lines, and you know, that's how I do it, okay? So in this case, I'm going to erase everything. So in this case, I am redesigning a design that already exists. The customer had a helmet painted by a guy in Ontario a couple of years ago, and here's the helmet that was done. Now I need to redesign, simplify a little bit that design and make it more suitable for car racing. This was a helmet that he used for karting. As you can see, he has the barrel colors. So I'm gonna base my design on what he's got there, because this is what he wants. So he wants to keep the main basic lines in this design, and then he wants to keep the color scheme as well. Now the idea is to simplify everything, so I'm gonna try and do that and see how it comes out. Okay, so I did two different versions of that redesign that I want to do. I'm not going to go into the design philosophy with you on this particular video, and I don't think I'm gonna ever do this. My design philosophy is mine. I consider myself an artist. You should too. When you create a design, create what you feel like it should look like. I can tell you what I like a helmet to look like. First, but there's so many things that are involved, and every project is so different that it's hard to pinpoint exactly what makes a great helmet design. It's impossible. So I'm not going to go through, like I said, the whole philosophy of design. I'm going to keep you do your own things and create your own things. Now, I've done my two quick renderings. At this point, I'm going to export everything and start working on doing the proper helmet design on Illustrator. And for this, we're going to go back in the shop. All right, back in the shop. The reason I do everything in the shop after the hand drawing is because my good computer setup is in the studio. The reason for that is that I do all my computer graphics, I do all my video edit in here. I recently moved to Apple. I got this MacBook Pro with the M2 chip. It is my first ever Apple computer. I've never had any. I'm a PC guy, and I decided to go with the MacBook Pro because of all the reviews. Now I understand why everyone who do video edit, photo edit, computer graphics go with Apple. These things are just graphic beasts. I've never had a computer that's so fast and so precise, so I really love it. I paired it with a monitor. This is an Asus ProArt 32 inches monitor. This thing is calibrated for video and photo, and it's perfect to do all the graphic things. So this is my setup. The rest is just good old mouse and a keyboard. That's it. And I import everything on this computer. All the drawings that I did in the kitchen, I import on this computer. I use cloud. I use Google Drive, I think. Yeah, Google Drive. And so I import everything. Now I'm going to show you how I take these hand drawing and use them on Illustrator and Photoshop to create the final rendering for the customers. Let's open up the Stilo SD5 template that we have here. And okay, so let's center that. Now we're going to import the drawing that we did earlier on the other computer. In this case, I want to import it here on my last layer, which is completely underneath everything that you see here. So you got all the detail, the visor screw, the visor lock, the visor contour, the shell, the rubber. Anyway, all these details are going to be over our drawing. Okay, so we're gonna import it. So in my case, I just left it there on the desktop, so we're gonna import it like that. Now we're gonna, of course, we're gonna resize it to fit on the template. So we're just going to size it, so it fits the template like this. Now what we want to do is to dim the image to about, well, I like to do 60%, maybe more than that. Let's go 50%. Okay. Now everything that we want to do is going to be over that layer. Okay, so we're going to create new layer. How I like to work? I like to work with color blocks. So If I have blocks of black, well, the blocks of black needs to be, you know, all together. So we're gonna create a new layer. We're gonna change the name to black, and now we're gonna start laying out the lines. We're gonna remove the block here. Since all our lines on the drawings are black, we're gonna change the black to, let's say, let's go with red. So that's gonna help. Okay, now we're gonna start laying out the black. So I just go with the pen tool and just start laying out the lines of the black. Now I don't care about, at this moment, I don't care about going over, or maybe not all my line aligning perfectly. I don't care about that. So I just go and do all my black block of colors. Okay. Now there is another one here on the top. Now this one is a bit more complicated because the black is going to be both underneath and over the red. So we're going to try and figure out a way to do this. Now I would probably do it over the red block. Okay, so now we're gonna lock this black layer. I'm gonna create a new one that's gonna be called red. Now for the red is going to be over the black. Okay, so it's kind of, you need to know where you're going when you do this kind of way of working. Okay, so now again we're going to remove the white fill. So let's go with the red blocks. We create our blocks outside of the helmet. I don't care what it looks like. I just don't. Now the block here in the back. Like this. So the red block, that's going to be in the back. Now let's do these two smaller block on the top. Let's do this here. I want to leave a blank space on the front for the driver to be able to put a now we're going to be changing our strategy here like this. Now it's just a question of laying out the blocks. That's it. That's the only thing we want to do. We want to align the blocks and do them. Okay. Okay, now the red is done here. What I want to achieve here is to have, well, first of all, you have the black layer, the red layer. Now I have another black portion here that's going to be in the back. So I want to put another layer, call it black over. Now at this point, like I said, I don't care if my lines are not perfect. The only thing I want is I want to create the color blocks. The color blocks, sorry. Now this here will go here like this. And we're going to create that block here. Okay. So all blocks of colors are now created. Now let's go back to the first one, the first black that we did. Let's select everything and let's actually create our black color block. In this case, the black is going to have a red outline. So let's create that red outline. Let's give it a weight of stroke, of about 3 points. Now it's time to adjust our lines, you know, like the lines, this line and this line are not parallel. So let's move this thing a bit down. Now the space here and here are not exactly the same, so let's move a bit down. Okay. Now I may want to add a little pointy shape here to that. So let's do the add anchor point. So we're going to add an anchor point. Take this point here and move it just slightly. Now we're going to move this one here to make it more, give it a better angle. Okay. Okay, so that's roughly our black block that's underneath. Now let's move to the red. Again, we're going to select the red layer, select everything. Now let's do something very quick. We're going to do the eyedropper tool. We're going to select our first one. It's going to give it, you know, the same color scheme. Now we're going to switch them over. Now we have the red with black lines. Okay. Now here, of course, we have a problem because the black is going to be next to a black. So what we want to do is select that particular one and give it a white outline to that particular block. The rest can keep their black outline. See this one? I'm going to just roughly show you. This one, the lines are not, the outlines are not, correctly pointy. So I want to select this and change the limit and bring the limit up. And there we go. Okay. Now I assume that if you're watching this video and you want to learn how to properly do a graphic design for a helmet, you have a basic understanding of how Illustrator and Photoshop work. Okay. Now the black over, we're going to select our blocks of color, make them black like this. Now this one, we're going to want to have a white outline. We're going to make it to a weight of 3 points. And this one here, we're going to have it like that with a red outline. And that's pretty much it for the block of color. Now it's time to adjust a few things that, we want to maybe, if we look quickly, we may want to adjust a few things, make it more dynamic or less dynamic. I see here that I could, spice up things a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select here, add an anchor point again, and grab my point here and bring it forward, bring the limit there to make it more pointy. So now it's more dynamic here for this little part. I want to maybe here I might want to spice things up here as well for this part here. Let's see what we can do here. We can again add a point. Now I'm not sure it's going to look good. I think it does. So let's keep it that way. So let's keep it, like this. Now we want to add the name. So we're going to be the name of the driver. So we're going to be adding another layer. I'm going to call it name. Now it's going to be time to choose a font. So his name is Antonio. So Antonio, we're going to go through the different type of name. Now I know that he wants to have his name looking like a neon sign. So we need something that's more like a simple script. And I hope I have something that looks like a simple script. If not, we're going to have to go and find it. And I'm going to show you where I take my fonts. Now, no, that's not good. Now, it might not be, it's not the type of things that I get to do very often, okay? So I might not have the right type to do the name. And every helmet is going to require a certain font for the design to match the design. I'm not the type, for a long time I used to grab always the same font all the time and just use the same one, you know, on every helmet, and it became boring at one point. Okay, so it seems like I don't have okay, I got more here. See, this could be interesting, but I think it's a bit old. It's not, maybe not bold enough. Sign painter, not bad. This could work, but I think it's a bit complicated with the O's. There are some little kind of little, you know, round connection to him. I'm not sure, but it could work, you know. It could, I think this could work. Maybe make it okay, so let's try and just squeeze it down a little bit, make it more compact. Let's make it more like, let's add an outline to it. See, it gives you some larger letters. Let's give it a bit more weight to the outline. Oh, I think we're getting somewhere there. So let's create the outline for the font. Let's select the outline stroke, and let's see there. Where's my Pathfinder tool? Okay, and now let's select all of this. Now we're getting somewhere here. Okay, so I think we have the right font that could work for this. I'm going to give it a little kind of a neon blue color, and we're going to apply it here on this part of the black because I think it's going to look better on the black. So like this. And now we're going to get started with Photoshop. We're going to import all the shape on different layers in Photoshop. Now I'm going to fire Photoshop and show you how I do this. Okay, so now Photoshop is open. We're going to get our Stilo template. Stilo ST5. So I have a few templates here, but I think I have this one here, which is the one without the AC apparatus on the top. So yeah, so that's the right one. We're going to shut down the background color, and now we're going to start importing our shapes inside Photoshop. So we're gonna go and select the first one we did, the black, like this. We're gonna reduce the size of Illustrator, and we're gonna bring it to black, to Photoshop, like this. We're gonna place it the best we think you know, it goes. Okay, so this can be adjusted later. So here it is. So that's our first block of color. Now the red block, we're gonna select everything, bring it there, bring it down to Photoshop. So again, we're not going to be placing it like exactly like it, you know, we're just roughly going to drop it there. Okay. Now we're going to continue with more blocks. I have the black over that I can import. I don't know why it didn't work here. Okay. See how this time it doesn't align, so it shows me that my red blocks are too, you know, they're too high. So we're going to be placing my black here, and then I'm going to select my red. No, I'm going to select the red blocks and move them down a bit so it fits on the design. Now the black, the first black that I downloaded, it doesn't fit. Hold on there. That's wrong one. Okay. Now we're going to bring it down just slightly so it matches. All right. Okay. Now, of course, we're going to have a white background to this whole thing, so we're going to be filling the background with white. And the only thing that's left to be imported is the name. Here it is. So we're going to import the name. All right. Now the name needs to be placed on top of all the other layers. There. I think it's better there. All right. So now we're pretty much done with Illustrator. We're going to save this document here. We're going to save it. We're going to save it wherever you want to save it on your computer. In my case, it's in my new folder. I'm going to call it the name. I always work by name of driver. So I'm going to save it there. Now I'm going to save it as an Illustrator document with his name. And we're going to save it as driver's name and call it 1 and save. Now we're done with Illustrator. We're gonna close it down, and now we're gonna work on the computer design in more details. The neon effect on the name, because that's what they asked me. So what we're going to do is I have the name here, the name layer. So I'm going to duplicate it just to be sure that I don't lose it anywhere. I'm going to remove the visibility of the first layer. We're going to work on the second. Now we're going to go with image layer. We're going to go with layer style, and we're going to go with outer glow. Now outer glow is going to give us this glowing that we can control. Now that's going to give us the neon look. So we're gonna go with size. We're gonna make it a bit bigger. We're gonna go with a blue glow. I'm gonna select a blue here. We're gonna add a bit of opacity to it. Make it like this and spread it a bit. There you go. Now you need to think that everything you do here is simple. It's just sliders, but everything you do here will need to be redone by Airbrush on the computer, so it's not that easy. Okay, so like this. Now I might want to lower the blue on the name here. So I'm gonna see. It's a good thing I didn't scrap my first layer. I'm gonna make it viewable again. Bring it over. Now we're gonna be. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make that one white. Okay, and we're gonna bring the opacity just a tiny bit. So a neon is not exactly like a straight blue, you know, it has kind of a, yeah, like a whitish, and so this is how I want to bring it. I think that looks better than just the white. Okay, so now we're gonna add some bit of effect in the color block. We don't want to go too crazy. I want to do show some airbrushing effect. So I'm going to be selecting my black layer here. I'm going to select the magic wand tool, and I'm going to hit the black, and I'm going to do select and similar. Now there's nothing similar on this particular layer. Now we're going to create a new layer over this one, and we're going to make it a mask layer. Okay, so now we have a mask that anything, and let me show you here, anything that I'm going to do is only going to show in the black. Okay, so it's not going to bleed over the other colors. So let's remove this, what we just did. Now I'm going to go back to my black block layer, reselect it. Now this time I'm going to go and do select, modify my selection, and contract. I want to contract by, you know, 6, 7, or 8 pixel, probably 8 pixel. All right, it contracted. So now I'm going back to my mask layer. Okay, going back to my mask layer, I'm going to select a white color here on the black, on the fill here, and I'm going to use an airbrush, just like I do on a on a helmet. So I'm going to go with an airbrush because by experience I think 150 pixel is good, and we're going to be doing a soft round airbrush here in the general style. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit here with just a bit of white, and don't go crazy, don't go too crazy, maybe a little bit here, you know, and that's it. Now we're going to deselect by Control or Command Alt D. Now we've deselected that, and we're going to do the same here with the red. So I'm going to be magic wand, selecting my red block, do select similar. Now it's going to select all the red that I have on this layer. Add a new layer, make it a mask. Now I have a mask. I go back, reselect, similar. Now I'm going to do select again, modify, contract, by 8 pixels. Okay, I go back to my mask, and now I can select, maybe let's go with a dark red. Okay, let's go with a darker shade of red. Now grab my airbrush again, like this. And again, just go. You don't want to go all crazy on this. You don't want to use black over this color. You want to do a darker shade of like this. Now we're gonna deselect. Okay. Now I think what we have here is a pretty good base to show the customer. Now I think it lacks a bit of depth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reselect my black my black block layer here, and I'm going to be doing again layer style. We're going to do a drop shadow, and we're going to give it a bit more of an angle, give it a bit of a distance, and give the side, you know, you want to be gentle with it. It can ruin a design very, very quickly. So this is what you want to do. Now I think we have a bit more depth to the whole thing. And now I'm gonna go a bit fancy on the white. I want to show the customer that I want to do some kind of a, you know, pattern or airbrush, but I don't want to go too far. Again, I just want to show what my idea is for his helmet design, not go too crazy. So over the white background, so you have the white here, I'm going to create a new layer. And now this is where the fun begins. I'm going to grab my tool pen. Now I'm going to be doing some random shape here with the tool pen. The tool pen is probably your best friend when it comes to designing. Now I'm going to do with the, I'm going to click right. I'm going to do make selection, 0 pixel. You need to be as sharp as possible. Now I'm going to be choosing a light dark gray color. Light gray color. Grab my airbrush again and just do a bit of this. Now maybe I want to use a bit of black, just a bit of black here at the end. Because this is the kind of thing that I'm going to do on the actual helmet. Now let's deselect. Now we're going to do a new one, maybe here. Let's start here. Let's see. Okay, I don't like how this will turn out. I don't like it at all. Let's do one here maybe. You know, okay, so this could be interesting. Here, let's turn it down towards the front, like this. Click, right click, make selection. Zero pixel, all right. Grab our airbrush again, select our light gray. Like this, select our black, put a bit of black at the end. Now deselect. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting to a, you know, a nice computer design that's not too complicated. That's going to make our customer, you know, understand where we're going with this. And he's going to be, it's going to be a conversation starter, let's say. You know, now from this, he's going to make some comments. I'm going to make some comments, you know, and we're going to be, you know, moving back and forth, but at least we're going to have something to work with. Okay. Now I noticed that here I forgot my little pointy thing, so let's fix this because it's not really professional. Now what you want to do is move over here, grab a polygonal lasso and just redo your end there, and it's going to select. Now you want to go to you want to create a new layer for that because you can't paint on the vector smart object layer. Select your red color and just paint that over. Let's deselect. All right. Okay, I think I like it. And this is going to be the first draft to the customer, and we're going to see how he likes it. Now, my rendering for the customer is not done. I like to give it a bit more, worked. So first of all, I'm going to select my, now I need to find, this is what one of the bad things that I do is I don't always give my layer's name. I'm going to select my visor strip here and just move it slightly like this. All right. Now, first of all, the first thing you want to do is to save your document. So we're going to save it again in the same folder that we created earlier. So I have a Antonio Lorenzo. So we're going to call it again Antonio Lorenzo 1. Now this one is going to be a Photoshop document, and we're going to save it. Now it's safe. Don't forget to save your stuff. Now what I want to do is click here on the menu of the layers, on the small menu, and select Merge Visible. It's going to merge everything that's visible right now on your document. Now that Merge Visible has been done, everything gets grouped together on one layer. Now I want to select my white and do delete and deselect. And I want to grab my selection tool again, click Command T for transform, and I want to just bring it, make it a tad smaller. Okay, now I want to create a new layer that I'm going to put underneath my helmet, and I'm going to do a simple gradient. I like to do a simple gradient. My gradient is going to go from a lighter gray to a darker gray. I don't want to go too crazy with this. Now with the gradient tool selected, I'm going to hit my layer, and I'm going to click Shift and grab down. Now it's going to give me a nice, gradient background, but I'm not done. So I'm going to reselect my helmet, copy the layer. I'm going to select the layer underneath, and I'm going to do image. I'm going to do edit, transform, flip vertical. Now I have a new layer that's been flipped vertical. I'm going to bring it down here. Okay. I'm going to lower the opacity of that particular one. Okay. Now you see where I'm going with this. Now I want to grab my eraser tool, make it like 1,000 pixel. Okay. About roughly 1,000 pixel. And just, whoa, hold on there. Wrong style. We're going to go with a soft round brush. And I want to kind of erase
this. So it gives you some kind of a reflection. You know, I like to do this. It just makes the whole document just a bit more professional. Now I'm going to grab the crop tool, and I'm going to bring, you know, the limits of my document closer, make it smaller like this. Now this is the first drawing that I'm going to present to my customer. So now I'm going to be saving it as a JPEG. So we're going to be saving it as a JPEG. We're going to save it in the same the same folder again. So I have a folder with his name. Now we're going to save image only. The name is going to be Lorenzo1. Save. There you go. And that's how I create my design. Now you're all done. You're going to shut down Photoshop. They're going to ask you, do you want to save the Lorenzo1 PSD? You don't want that, because you've you know, you've joined all your layers. You don't want that. You want to keep that as it was before you join all the layers together. So you say don't save. Now we're going to shut down PSD, and we're done for the design. I hope you guys liked it.
Okay, so that was my way of working with Illustrator and Photoshop to create design renderings for my customers to review and at least start a discussion, you know. After that, I'm going to explain to them that the colors that they see on the computer screen or the phone, they're going to look at it, because some people are going to check their emails with an iPad, with a phone. The colors that they're going to see on the screen are not representative of what I'm going to use on the actual helmet. Now, the final color choice is up to me, and that I make very clear to them. I work with the paint that I have in here, unless if they have a certain color code that they want me to use, they need to provide me with that color code, and there's an extra charge for that. In this case, I'm probably just going to use paint that I already have in here. Also, the design philosophy that I use is based on my skills as a painter and the way that I like to work as a painter. I don't quite understand how some people out there call themselves helmet designers, but they've never painted a helmet. You need to understand the different steps of painting a helmet before creating designs. You need to understand, and when you do create designs on the computer and on paper, you need to understand in your head, how am I actually going to create this on a helmet? So you need to understand the different steps of a helmet paint in order to create a design. Some designers out there create all sorts of crazy stuff on the computer. When the time comes to actually paint them on a helmet, it's simply impossible. I wanted to warn you about this, because when you become good with Illustrator and Photoshop, the possibilities are endless. You can create whatever you want on the computer screen, but the problem arrives when you sit in front of the helmet and now you're stuck with, you know, whatever you designed. So, you know, you need to think, okay, so what is going to be physically possible to do on a helmet with the tools that I have here, and what is going to be intelligent way of creating something that I'm going to be able to paint after that. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it answers a lot of your questions regarding computer design. I know it's going to create more questions. I'm going to try and answer them as best as possible. In the meantime, you guys keep that paint flowing and the paint gun triggers on, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.